nyumba zake zilichomwa.
Kila kitu yote mimi nitoka hivyo.
Behind the scenes, they were pastors, they were politicians.
They wake up in the morning. The first thing they see is the grave.
They need to reflect on what happened to be able to bring about the change that is necessary to move this country forward.
Molo in Nakuru County, one of those regions most affected by perennial spikes of post-election violence, claiming the lives of several people and leaving hundreds others displaced. We revisit the area to tell you a story of those who survived. We meet 58-year-old Mary Wanjiru in her abode in Mauche, Molo, Nakuru County. She narrates to us how the post-poll violence erupted sporadically in the region. She says that just after the results of the contested polls were announced, an unknown gang stormed her home in the middle of the night.
Nikashomewa kila kitu yote mimi nitoka hivyo.
Her saddest moment, she tells us, was when she and her family had to run from the attackers, leaving her elderly father in the house, only to come back and find the old man hacked to death.
Tulimwacha kwa nyumba tukatoroka, tukaenda wiki moja. Kurudi tukakuta amekufia kwa nyumba.
She narrates with bitterness on how her family buried the man she called dad without even a coffin.
Sasa kumusika kulikuwa shida, sababu ndio vita ilikuwa imeshasha. Tulimusika tu na tabu. Hata hakuna saduku, tulimweka tu kwa shimo na bracketi tukaashiria. Tukarudi pale tulikuwa napewa kwa kukaa.
And he cut him behind the head.
Why was I targeted in Mombasa?
Kwa nini serikali haikuchukua action?
The scale at which these unfortunate incidences took place affected her way of life immensely. It's no doubt that the woman is still in shock. Most of the victims who survived the massacre have never returned here. Their parcels of land have been left unoccupied, with a majority opting to turn them into leased farms.
Watu wengi waliamua kuhama area hii yote. Na ndio sababu naona area hii yote ni machamba matupu imebaki.
Experience is further disturbing when she remembers how her husband, who survived the chaos by a whisker, would later die and be buried here after a long illness occasioned by injuries.
Hakuna kitu yetufanya tupigane yenye ilikuwa ya kibinafsi.
A few kilometers away, and we arrive at Mugumaini, still in Nakuru County. An elderly man by the name Ndegwa Mwiga welcomes us.
Kuna wale walidhania wa PNU ni adui na wa ODM ni adui. So wavamizi walikuja tu na wakaanza kuchoma na kuua.
He tells us that this home belonged to an elderly man called Karatu Kamau. According to Ndegwa, the family was displaced and some of his relatives killed in the aftermath of the election chaos. Mzee Karatu had to seek refuge at a relative's place where he was treated on a wound he sustained during the violence before he later succumbed to injuries.
Ikaja post-election violence na ikawa nyumba zimechomwa na akatorokea bahati kwa msichana wake mahali ameolewa. Hapo ndio baba huyo wetu ndipo alifariki na akaletwa kaburi lake ni hili unaona hapa.
We are told this structure-like home was built by the state during the recovery process when IDPs were being relocated to new homes from the camps. There are several other such-like structures in Nakuru County.
Hii nyumba ni serikali ilipeana baada zile kuchomwa, serikali ndio ilijenga hizi nyumba. That was in 2009-2010.
Majority of the victims who spoke to us allege that the mess is largely attributed to political misconduct.
Mwananchi wa kawaida ni kudanganywa na danganywa. Tufukuze hawa, tumpate hii mashamba. Wanasiasa wachunge sana.
Sarah Wanja hails from the same area, is forced to walk a distance of more than 5 kilometers just to come here and cultivate her father's land. He says her family perished during the mayhem and was left behind with her siblings.
Kuzaliwa nimezaliwa hapa na tukafukuzwa juu ya vita.
Watu wako pia waliuliwa?
Baba amekufa, mama amekufa.
Waliuliwa wakati wa election?
Nyumba yangu ilikuwa hapa nyuma hapa. na ni kuchomwa ilichomwa.
On the other hand is Paul Kenodia, a middle-aged man who survived the cruelty and has since lived to tell a story of how his brother and the whole family was massacred.
Na mtu wa kwanza kuuawa alikuwa ndugu yangu marehemu ambaye mwenye nyumba ile unaona pale.
Kenodia has been farming here for the last 10 years, but when he visits this place, the memories he says are too painful for him to handle. Adjacent to his farm is another home that birds have since turned to nests. The owners have not been seen since then.
Ikifika 2022, sauti moja yenye tunajua ni kwamba ni Ruta.
Na sasa hata wakati huu watu wako na hofu, kwa hivyo tunaelekea uchaguzi wa 22 ambaye hatujui mwelekeo ni wapi.
The perennial violence in this region largely falls back to historical injustices. Locals say originally the land belonged to their ancestors, with the frequent violence attributed to the so-called outsiders.
Hata nipewe shamba kiasi gani sitatosheka kama sina mwenzangu ambaye tunaishi pamoja. Nikasikia kwamba wanagawa watu wakisema kama Tuza, Gema na kadhalika. Hiyo ndio jambo ambalo hatungependa itokee katika nchi hii.
Wale wanaoonekana kama wageni wanajihisi kama wanaweza kuwa easy target.
Despite the cries and worries by the locals, the government says it has since learned its lessons.
If I'll be here and your house is burned and you lose your property or life because of politics, I stand cast.
Natembea notes that since then, security has been heightened at specific areas mapped out for quick security response, insisting that the government compensated the victims and relocated others. It's further calling on anyone who wants to go back to his original land to seek assistance from his office.
Kama kuna mtu ambaye angependa kurudi kwa shamba yake na kuna challenge, anaona anahofia kwamba hawezi kurudi kwa shamba, aje kwa ofisi hapa tutamregesha kwa shamba lake.
When asked about the implementation of the Truth and Justice Reconciliation Commission report on post-election violence,
people are still bitter. So there's that general fear, of course, that you work hard, you invest to build a very good house, and then somebody just comes to burn it down.
He was firm, noting that key issues in that report have already been effected. Among them is the installation of extra police stations, strategic security planning, and proactiveness by security agencies.
We're also doing strategic posting of security officers, depending on need. There are so many other security installations that have been established. Very many police posts, police stations, patrol bases have been gazetted in some of those areas.
Speaking to residents here, it is evident that the pain is still so fresh, an indication that the ballot should never lead to the bullet ever again.
Never again should Kenyans' property be destroyed on account of politics.
Tunaomba usaidizi utoke kwa uhuru wetu, atusaidie tu. Tuishi tu kwa hii shamba yetu, sababu hatuna pahali ya kuenda.
Mambo yetu ya mbeleni iishe na tuanze upya.
Not again should we go and correct bodies with lorries.
Franklin Wala, K24 TV.